All right, I guess you wonder what I'm doing. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I've decided with this new 300 that I've got sitting around in the shed, the 300 build, which you've seen on YouTube. It's an awesome build. I want to start doing some things with it. I want to do a bit of an upgrade. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to upgrade the tyres and the rims. Now, I've just picked it up from Brisbane yesterday afternoon because I've had to lift up the suspension slightly to cover that. So stick around. I'm going to stick some cool, meaty, awesome looking tyres on this truck, 35-inch tyres. I'm going to stick some new rims on as well. And I got a little surprise installed after that. All right, let's get some 35s on this sucker. Now, in order to cover this, get this vehicle ready for 35s, what I've had to do is I've dropped down to Outback Armour and they've gone and put a full new suspension kit in this truck. Now, the reason for that is not only is it going to lift it up, but this is the prototype. Get this is the prototype for their GVM upgrade. So that allows me, okay, to get that little bit more height, but it also means that down the track, I might be able to do some real world testing with this truck. 35s are going to give me a much bigger footprint, especially on the sand and off-roading. And these are pretty good looking rim. These are the ones we put on Simon's truck, so I'm keen to see how they go. They look so good, and I've got a lot of space in here. You'd be surprised how easily a 35 will sit on the 300. Happy with those. These are a 35 by 12.5, 18-inch, okay? So they're a mud terrain, black bear. All right, now what I've gone and done with this suspension, in the front, they've gone and changed the strut and the coil. So it's got a brand new strut in it and a brand new heavier coil, one that gives me that little bit more lift and can handle that load, that extra load from bull bar, winch, all that sort of stuff. When you're talking about GVM upgrades. Now remember, this is the prototype. They're still working on it, and I've just been asked to test it out, see how it goes. Mate, that's a good sized tyre. It actually fills the guard really well. Like, it's not as though it's oversized. So I was actually quite shocked by that, actually. Probably fits it better than the 200. All right, 2 more tyres. We'll get this thing rolled out the door and see how she looks outside. This is the surprise I said before. So not only do I stick 35-inch tyres on, give it a little bit more lift. Now, you all know, well, I assume you know, I know, when you put bigger tyres on, you lose horsepower. You lose that bit of punch. Now, this car goes okay. Like, it's had a mild tune in it, but I want to see how far this thing can go. This twin turbo V6 diesel 300 Series LandCruiser, new, no one knows much about them except one person. And that guy is Matt from Just Autos. And we're going to take this truck, the 300, right now to see Matt from Just Autos. And he, mate, he's the Toyota master, let's face it. He has had more dyno time than anyone in this country, if not the world. And I want to see how far we can take this truck, this engine, and see how much horsepower we can get in it. Now, I've had a 200 Series LandCruiser, and that's a V8, 4.5 litre diesel. Mate, I've got that thing of mine absolutely hammering. Like, that is an awesome bit of gear. Can haul big loads. It's in a conversion. It's in the creative conversion format. It's got some good horsepower. Matt reckons that the new twin turbo V6 300 Series LandCruiser diesel can absolutely destroy the 200. Car's sitting on the hoist now. We're ready to rock and roll. We've got Matt here. Now, the whole reason why I am here, and I'm going to tell you, this is This is the whole reason why, is because let's face it, Matt has probably the only person, I reckon the only person in the world that has had more dyno time for a 300 when it comes to tuning them than anybody in the world. Well, could I say that?
Yeah. Look, it's hard to say, but I'm only here because of the team that I have and the support and the help that to get us this point. It obviously having the car sitting on the dyno, there's a lot of other people involved to make it to where it is. So it's hard to sit here and take the glory for all that. It's not just me. It's the team that I have, and I have a great team. So. But yeah, look, 300 Series, it's definitely the flagship of Toyota, and understandably a lot of people have always been a little bit iffy about getting the 300, especially from the 200. 200 was a great platform for many years. It sounded, it performed well, it did a lot of good things. I think it's pretty hard for people to think coming in from a 200 Series like yourself, then into a smaller capacity engine, and they're going, hey, 100%. Is it going to be as good? And I was pleasantly surprised with the 300 Series when we first got the 300 Series and we started tuning it and adding some modifications to it. The power level that this car woke up to was sensational, and hands down, hand on heart, it's so much better than 200 Series. I love the 300 Series.
That's what I want to hear, because I know you spend a lot of time on the dyno. There's no doubt about it. Like I just said, I've had the 79.
Yep.
I've got the 79 back in black. I've had the 200.
Yep.
Blackout 200, and now we've got the Adventure 300.
Yep.
And we've got a Creative Conversion 300 as well.
Yep.
They've all been tested now in the field.
Yep.
Okay. So the 300's been tested, the conversion.
Yep.
And mate, I'm actually coming back and saying I'm liking it.
Yep.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you and saying that the 300 is killing the 200. It's kicking its ass.
You're 100% right. Look, it really is, and we get asked the question a lot, and I'm sure you would as well. How can you go into a 300 from a 200? Look, the only thing is, I would say that the sound-wise is definitely different. That's one thing I do miss about the 200, but that's it. That's all that I miss. The exhaust system that we tend to run on the 300 Series, they sound, really good. They definitely have a good note about them. So, look, the end of the day,
what are we going to put on it?
The end of the day, we're first of all, obviously we're going to go through and we're actually going to do our multi-mapping on this car today, and we've got other videos on that, and that's a big sort of explanation into how all that works.
Yeah.
But that's more the tuning stuff. The products we're going to fit to your car today is our heat exchanger. Okay. So our Just Auto's heat exchanger is a heat exchanger that we made in-house. We designed it. First thing when we started tuning these cars, we noticed our intake temperatures were going through the roof.
And intake temperatures, because you're wanting the fuel in?
Yeah, fuel and boost is definitely our charge temps. We ended up designing this, and this is a heat exchanger. So it's a water-air intercooler system on this car, unlike the 200 Series, which is an air-to-air cooler. The problem is with this model of car is that where the two little coolers are in front of the bar there, they're quite restrictive, right? And not only that, they're quite small. So the volume of water that you hold in the cooling system is not much at all. So we're adding this heat exchanger in the center in series. So they're still using the factory system.
So there's two in this car.
There's already
standard.
two. They're small.
You're just replacing.
We're adding this. So we're not taking them away. We're adding this to the system.
Oh, you're adding it.
Yeah.
So now I got three.
So So now we have a larger volume of fluid going through. So our coolant levels increase around about 5 litres of fluid. So that helps with heat soak. But also we've got a larger surface area for cooling now, and we're using the electric fan and tuning that electric fan to draw more air through this to help with all of this to maintain and consistency with intake temps. Guys that are towing, I see a lot of stuff on forums and so forth, and what they're starting to struggle with is as they're driving up hills, they're having the problem where the car's starting to lack in power and so forth, and as temperature goes up. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to maintain consistency. And a heat exchanger not necessarily is going to give you more power, but it's going to give you power that you have for longer, and that's what it's all about, being consistent. So this is a must. It's amazing the differences that we found with fitting this and how we could be more consistent. We did a video where we did a dyno run with the standard setup, holding at load hold, and we were holding at 450 newton meters for around about a minute. The car literally dropped down to around 200 newton meters within that minute. So if you simulated like a van towing up a hill, it was amazing. We put this in. What I didn't show on the video is the fact that I was stabilised there after fitting this cooler for 5 minutes, and we stabilised in temperature. which is extremely good when you can stabilize that temperature and you don't have that creep up anymore. And we maintain that 450 newton meters. So definitely a must.
So we got that.
Yeah, moving on. So we've got, this is just something that we always like to fit. It's a bit of protection. It's the boys at Fats make this Just Autos fuel filter bracket. Obviously they're plastic at the back. It's just to help with rocks, and it's part of our package 3 that we just put on a must.
I got one of these on my other 300.
Right, yep. So
from the same guys.
Yep. So really good bit of gear. It's something that I think is it's cheap and it's a must to put on. The third thing that we got there is our Just Autos airbox made by FFM. Awesome airbox that allows us to flow a fair bit more air than factory, which is something, especially when we're starting to tune the level that, the power levels that we're going for, that is a must as well. Good thing is you've already got the fat snorkel on there, which will marry up to that. Awesome. Fat snorkel. And that's going to work wonders as well. So just a few little things here. Once we get this all sorted, we're going to go through the motion now. So we'll do a standard run on the car, see where it's at, and then we'll start to tune from there. And hopefully get some really good results and make you smile, because that's what it's about.
Look, the thing is, the bigger tyres now, I'm going to zap a little bit of my power. Especially off-road. You'll notice it big time off-road. And that was the only thing when I'm trying to compare my 300, right? I'm trying to compare a stock 300 to a bomb 200. Like mine's got the full tone package. That thing absolutely rumbles. Yeah, look, and like time and time again, we are seeing more people hesitant about the 300 series. Obviously, it's a new platform. We have definitely been testing this platform to a high limit. I believe that I don't see anyone else testing to that limit as far as where we can go with these. We have, basically in our showroom a spare engine that we've had from day one. We had the willings to push this thing to breaking point. It surprised the hell out of me. It's been one of the most efficient diesel engines that I've ever tuned. So, I'm very impressed with what Toyota have done with this platform. So, I have high hopes for it, and I believe it's awesome. More and more people are getting these cars and starting to see what they are. We definitely have customers come in and test drive our 300, and once they jump in that, they're like, hey, I'm buying a 300. Like, it makes, definitely makes them smile. So, but let's get stuck into it and see what we do. Let's see if you can put a smile on me dial. The one thing you will notice with the new bars that they're putting on 300 Series LandCruisers is, especially this one, this off-road animal bar, have a look at all the air intake. See, all this is not just for looks, it's also to let the air flow to those water-to-air intercoolers, which is on the new V6 engine. So there's one on either side. So they need to get that airflow in there. You don't want to restrict it. So the advantage of what Matt's doing is he's not only got these two sitting on the side, he's sticking a middle one, which almost looks like it's twice the size. Is it twice the capacity?
No, it's probably more like
3 times the capacity of one of these?
Yeah, so I mean, our cooler's not only bigger, but the volume of extra coolant that we're adding in, we're adding an extra 5 litres, and total is about 1.7 litres in the system, so we're adding a fair bit more.
That's a truckload more.
So it makes a huge difference.
So basically, normal turbos run on an air intercooler, right? So which means that cools the air before it goes into the turbo, right? Yeah, so I mean, if you're looking back at old school days, turbo diesels, if you go back to FTEs, they didn't have an intercooler. Then in the 100 series, they brought out an intercooler for it. So the diesels in, say, the 200 series and 79 are an air-to-air. The good thing about air-to-air is that it's really good at cooling. It's not real stable. When it gets hot, it gets hot. It's easy to recover from because there's only 2 forms of cooling. Water to air is all about consistency, and that's a great thing about it. So it definitely seems to be the future. The intercooler that Toyota have designed to be on this motor, we've actually had one out already and having a look at it. I've got a bit of new technology in there as far as how the intercooler flows. So it's only quite a small core, but it flows extremely well for the cooling effect that it has. So it does have an air-to-air intercooler? So it sits on top? It's actually air, so it's water. So if you imagine as the air flows through these heat exchangers, right, that converts that cold water cooler and then goes through the intercooler, which has the air from the turbocharger passing through one side of it, right? And it's cooling the intercooler down with water, okay?
So that's how it does it.
But it's the air is still coming out and then being forced into the
it's a little bit different. It's going through the core. It's done in a different way. It's sort of different to an air-to-air, but it's much the same. The difference is that we've got water cooling the intercooler on this, where in general we usually don't have that. So
gotcha.
But yeah, look, it is pretty cool. I think water to air, you're seeing on the new 79 Series, the 2.8, they have a water to air intercooler on them as well coming out.
The Hilux engine.
So definitely something that is starting to see more of a pattern with companies, manufacturers doing this. So, but we're just, we need to improve on that, especially because, we're tuning the cars at a higher level than they're released with, so we need to make sure that our temps are in check.
Well, at the end of the day, real high level. Lots of horsepower.
So the stock run we did was 304, a little bit higher than what we usually see for a stock car. Mind you, it is at the rear wheels and on a hub dyno, so it's not done in four wheels. So it always adds around about 15% more power to the end result. So it's definitely high there. So it's going to be really good to see where we end up. We should see a pretty good increase here. But so far, everything's looking pretty good.
All right guys, today is D-Day. Everything went in yesterday. So we got water to air intercooler is in. Okay, so the big one in the middle. The tune has been punched in. So he's whacked that in with the laptop. So all we got to do now is get the dyno numbers up onto the big screen and see how this thing performs. I can't wait. Today is D-Day. All right. We're ready to go, mate. It's hooked up to the hub dyno.
Yep, we're back.
Big screen.
Yep, we spent a fair bit of time late Arvo and yesterday into the night to try and get this thing dialed in. I know the numbers it's at, so it's doing exactly what it should be doing, so that's really, really good. So
yeah, no, fair enough.
We're going to do a couple runs just to showcase what goes on and go from there. So.
All right, so we're ready to go. Now, I just explained that everything is in, bolted up, all the little bits and pieces, all the little bits of fruit, all the cool stuff. That's all on. You've downloaded your file.
Yeah, so we've done that quite a few times. We start off with the base and then we tweak that base from there to obviously get the optimum out of this car. Every car is slightly different, and that's why we use things like we've made a custom data logger, and what that is that we can measure all the parameters in the car. It's not a Toyota thing, it's actually our own data logger that we use. And this is one of the secrets to the reason why we can get a lot more power out of these cars and safely, is because we understand that data, and that data is only to us. So that is something that's quite special. We go through that data, make the changes that we need to make, and then therefore we start making a lot more power. So it's good.
Let's see it. I'm keen to see what sort of horsepower this thing comes up with. All right, so we started off, stock was 298, so that's what the stock horsepower is on the hub. So that gives you an idea of where we start, and it's that baseline, we work from there. Only way is up, Matt. Now remember, this is a diesel engine, and it is only a V6.
There we go, 406.
Just like that. So we went from 298 horsepower, and he just punched it straight up to 406 and 778. That's 778 Newton meters of torque. So basically, wow. Look,
what we usually see in the 300 series is that we usually see around about that 100 horsepower sort of gain. The difference is that with the modifications we've done, we can maintain that power for a long time, and that's what it's important. So
yeah, because you can keep that engine temperature consistent.
Yep, consistent. Yep, so it's about consistency. So yeah, look, these things at this number, they are very impressive to drive. Like being a little motor, it's hard to imagine that sort of power, we have to spend quite a lot of money on a 200 series to get these numbers. So to do that out of this car with these minimal mods, that is something that I believe is truly impressive.
What did we pull out of my 200? Like that thing was...
But because it wasn't on a hub dyno, that was on an oval dyno. And I think at the time it was about 220 horsepower, 223 at all fours. So if you put it on the hub dyno, you're probably looking around that sort of 300, 310, something like that.
Yes, that's right.
So
I think we tipped over just over
so the thing is here is that looking at a tuned 200 series and comparing it to a 300 series, they're very similar. The 200 series might have slightly more power, probably another 15 more horsepower. But when we compare it down to what a tuned 300 series is, I mean, you can't really compare. It's unfair to compare it against it. So I believe it just truly shows how efficient and how good these engines are. And that's something I think is massively underrated in this idea of a car.
So there you go. So basically what he's saying is when I had the 200 sitting on, if it was sitting on a hub dyno, it would be sitting at 310, and we've just hit 406 out of this V6 diesel. How cool is that? I'm getting very excited about the fact that this little V6 engine, mate, has got so much grunt.
Yeah, so, and the good thing is a lot of our power is more top end. So it means it's going to be super safe for the engine. We've got a lot of RPM happening when we're applying a lot of that power. There's a whole lot of things here that make this really good. It's the best way to think of it. We've got two engines. We've got a smaller engine and a larger capacity engine and two different zoning, and that's the way the sequential turbo works, which makes it really, really good. So you got all that towing grunt down low, and then we've got all that power up top, which is something that's pretty cool to drive.
Now we're talking. Mate, it sounds good.
Yeah, I mean,
I can hear it.
For a V6, like this is it's never going to sound like a V8, but with the way that it is at the moment, it's got a really nice note, I believe, for the size of the motor. Obviously, once we start getting up there in the rev range with a whole lot of boost in it, changes its note, and I reckon it sounds pretty good.
Yeah. How do I control the multi-map?
Okay, so you've got your cruise control resume and set button, right? So you can move it up. And as you see that it shows you on the tacho what map you're in. And at the moment we're in map 4. We can go over to map 5 if you press up again. So now you've got lumpy idle. So you got lumpy idle, launch control, same power that's on map 4. It's just got functionality on that map. It all switches also as you drive, like it changes over. We've got quite a few videos on that explanation of that. The map 4.
So that's just like, sounds like it's got a cam in it or something.
Yeah, it's just tuning. It's obviously it doesn't have any cams in it, but you can call it ghost cam.
Ghost cam.
But it just
sounds good.
Timing. Yeah, so it's a little bit different.
All right, so 4. What's 4 then?
4 is our maximum power that we have. So that's the power that we're making that 408, but we don't have functionality on it. So there's no launch control. It does have a hard cut limiter, but other than that, it's exactly the same as 5 in power. And if we move to map 3 is what we've set up for towing. A lot of guys have complained about turbo surge with the 300 series and trying to eliminate that. With obviously the tuning across the board, we can eliminate 80% of it, but there's still a slight mechanical thing here that we struggle to get through. And because of that, we've designed a towing map that allows us to run on one turbo all the time. And when we're towing it, you just get your consumption, but also the fact that you never have that surge happen in that map at all. So it eliminates the problem there.
Towing is 3? All right.
And then you can go down to 2. 2 is obviously what we call stock plus. It's a stock map. It has minor changes to a lot of the tables to ensure the car is smooth to drive in that table. But as far as output of power, it's pretty close to that 300 horsepower. So it's good to reflect back. If you're driving, you think your car's lacking power, you go back to the map and you'll be like, oh wow, the difference is massive going backwards. So there's nothing special about that map. The next one is idle up and winch mode, which is something we have in map 1. I use this for charging batteries, as I was saying the other day. It's really cool if you want to jump out your car, charge your batteries if you've gone flat overnight, winching, jump starting another car. Again, as soon as you drive off, it will be on a lower power map, but it's just a function that we put in there. And the last one is immobilizer, so it'll go to 0 and the car will turn off. And now the car won't start, so you could be anywhere, you can try and start it and it will crank and won't start. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so the thing is here is that if you were, say, leaving your car at the airport and you've got your keys, you've locked the car, and you want to sort of have that extra security, you could leave it in map 0, go away, come back. The only way this car will start is if you were to hit the resume button up, and you would go up to the next map, say up to map 2 or map 1, which is idle up, doesn't matter, you can choose whichever one you want to start off, and the car will just start like normal. And then,
like that?
Yep.
Oh, that's a pretty cool feature.
Yeah, so it's just something else that we've added in there to, you know, as a function that we believe that people would use. Yeah, look, a lot of it, it's all about having that fun and that touch and that play with, and I think map 5 is pretty cool. It's obviously not something that guys are using every day, but it's cool as shit. And the other functions, you know, like I definitely use the idle up, and the immobilizer is really cool, especially on, say, something like a 79 that has no security whatsoever.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's something that can be set up really well and really easily. So
I like this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It sounds good. What's it sound like out the back? Let's have a
listen
listen out the back. Have a listen to this thing out the back. So not only has it got that, it's got that lumpy mode idle. So when you're sitting at the lights, the thing is just lumping. And then it's got what they call launch control. So it'll sit on 2000 RPM with the foot on the brake. You put your foot splat to the floor, you take your foot off the brake, and it just takes off like a rocket. Right. Awesome job, mate. Let's go and see how she goes in the real world.
All right, too easy.
Hey, g'day guys, sorry to interrupt your video, but I just wanted to show you the new 270 standard from Camp Boss 4x4. Check this thing out, mate. It's an awesome bit of kit. If you want to get out from under the sun, okay, out in the Australian outback, then you need one of these things. It's got full A-frame arms, easy to set up. It's got 280 GSM ripstop poly cotton. The bag itself is a heavy duty 1000 GSM with a heavy duty zip, and it's got this awesome little ratchet to tension it up, mate. It's the best awning that you're gonna see on the market. Full A-frame arms, self-supporting. Anyway guys, back to the video. All right guys, in a moment I'm going to reveal where we are and what we're doing, because remember last time I spoke to you, we were at Just Auto's workshop, and basically we're going to do some real world testing. So today is that day, real world testing. Mate, I rang the cops, they said I can't drag race down the Bruce Highway, they won't shut it down for me. So Matt's organised, okay, he's organised a racetrack, so literally we're going to be drag racing down a racetrack, controlled conditions, which is good. But I'll tell you what, it's going to be a hot day today, there's no doubt about it, and there's going to be heaps of trucks here, like there's going to be some cool bits of kit. Now there's going to be everything from a supercharged Y62 Patrol, okay, supercharged Wilkinshaw Chevy Silverado 1500, I think there's a blown Ram, okay, there's also going to be a stock 300, and there's going to be a shop and trolley Camp Boss. I stole the missus's Y62, literally as stock as a rock, and we're going to roll up today and we're going to test these out to see how they go. I'm excited about getting stuck into it. Mate, this thing, okay, has got some grunt, but I tell you what, it is in touring form. I'm feeling confident, but man, there's some serious horsepower waiting for me to drag race against. Anyway, stay tuned, it's all happening today here at the racetrack.
Feel as though this is the safest way. It's a controlled environment. We've hired the track for half a day. We've got, you know, safety people here. We've got everything set up in the proper way to do this testing. And you know, we're looking forward to having a whole lot of fun and get right into it.
Perfect, mate. I can't wait to see how the 300 goes in these conditions. Now, the fact that we can compare it to other vehicles, and by the looks of it, we've got a massive turnout today, as in so many different vehicles to choose from.
All these cars in the modified version, especially with the petrol guys, they're all supercharged. So we're talking big combos on these cars, making big power. So we're really going to put the 300 Series to the test with these cars as well. So it's a stinking hot day. It's about 35 degrees at the moment. Humidity is really high. So it's going to be really interesting to see the end result.
Can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yep, let's get going, eh?
Let's do it.
All right.
All right guys, here we are at the start line, and it's what we're gonna call sudden death elimination. Simple as that. Basically, off we go down the straight.
Yep, so we've got all the modified cars on the track, so the standard cars have been put away. Basically, whoever wins goes into the next round and goes against the next thing, and then we'll eventually get back to there's 2 cars, and whoever wins, wins. So
there you
pretty
go.
simple.
I'm up first.
You're up first.
What am I up against?
This is a Ram. It's got a supercharger on it. It was done by High Torque. Beautiful car. Makes a fair bit of power, this thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how you go against it.
Supercharged Ram.
Yeah.
Mate,
so
put me
into the deep end. So we're going to go through.
Straighter.
And yeah, we'll see how this runs through.
Supercharged Ram, mate. I think I only got a couple of little turbos and some diesel.
Yeah, tiny little engine as well, but we'll see. We'll see how you go. Hopefully, it'll be pretty good. So
there we go.
Let's go.
I'm keen. Let's do it. I'm just looking at that red light. Goes to white, then to green, and I'm out of here. That thing's, I don't know, 5-point-something litre V8. I'm just a twin-turbo V6. In touring mode, by the way, with some Max Tracks on the roof and a bloody Campos awning on the side on 35-inch tyres. So, there you go. That was a V8 petrol with a supercharger, putting out some serious horsepower. I held my own for a little bit there, and then he just got me on the legs. Well, it's elimination round 2, so I'm out. I'm done. Mate, I should have been home last night, stripping all the weight out of this thing. That thing is fast. Absolutely fast.
We also had the 300 Series lineup, which was my 300 Series and Jason's from All for Adventures 300 Series. Now, I understand they're very similar in power. Mine probably makes a little bit more power, so I did have that advantage over him. But the big thing that I had over Jason was weight, and you can see the difference that weight adds to your car. He has a front bar, he has a rear bar, he has, you know, drawers in there with batteries, and you name it. He's got every accessory in that car you can poke a stick at. I, on the other hand, that car is pretty much how it comes from factory with 35-inch tyres, JMac, you know, GVM upgrade, and that's pretty much it. I don't have dual batteries, I don't have any of those other components. The only other components we've added to it is our own stuff, which is like our heat exchangers and snorkels. So when we talk about weight, there's minimal weight in my car compared to his, and you can really see the difference that my car had so much more power in it.
That is it, right there. 600 kilos. So, identical tunes, identical. Everything, including launch control at 2800 RPM, the whole lot. We've even got the same size tyres, but he has 600 less kilos in his truck. And that is the difference right there, right there. I'm what you call a touring truck, and that, we're gonna have to call that thing a bloody drag racing truck. Remember, all from a twin turbo V6 diesel. and literally an upgrade to the water to air intercooler, a fat snorkel and an air box, mate. It's that simple. I can't believe what, and cost effective, like so cost effective. Basically it's cheap horsepower you can get out of these 300s. That, my friend, is absolutely nuts. Man, it's an adrenaline rush, I'll tell you now. It's been absolutely cracking. Woo! Yeah, love it.
At first, I was pretty nervous about racing these guys. You got to remember, our 300 series is definitely not standard. It makes about that 440 horsepower, okay? And this is on the hubs. Now, anyone seen the hub dynos, they always add a little bit more. So if we think about it, it's around about that 400 horsepower. So we're probably, 150 horsepower shy to be able to go up against these guys. But what was really interesting, they all started racing, we started to go through, and as I started to line up, what was really impressive about the 300 series is not only did we beat all the cars, we started to have that pull in the top end, and that's really where that sequential turbo worked really, really well. And something that else was really important to see was the fact that the modifications we've done with the heat exchanger, we didn't have the heat soak, so we could turn around and do a back-to-back run again, and we could still be very, very consistent. So on that day, the track temp was around that 35, 36 degrees. It was super humid. It wasn't real good to be racing in those conditions, but it was really great to see real world effect how those cars performed.
That was nuts.
It was definitely fun. I really enjoyed that. It was a hell of a day.
That car's fast.
Yeah,
like,
look.
It is fast.
It's pretty, look, it's crazy to think we come out here, there's definitely some really stout cars here, We've got some supercharged Rams and Patrols and all sorts of stuff, and to take out and beat them, I'm super surprised. I was a little bit nervous coming here this morning. I'm thinking, these guys are probably going to towel me, especially in that top end is where those guys shine.
And this is full legit, like this is full legit, 100%.
It's exactly how I drive the car. I tow my caravan with that, that's exactly how it runs.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is your car, like our last race then, full weight, very similar power. I do have a little bit more than you.
Yeah.
But similar, power-wise, but the weight that you carry, it makes a massive difference to how that drops that level.
Mate, I've got my Max Tracks and shovel on the roof and a bloody awning.
Yeah, pretty much. But all in all, I think it's been pretty successful.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of, it's great to see the standard cars. I think it was great to see the stock cars, especially with the Patrol and the Rams versus each other. Yeah. And that's really good. Like, that's always something that I've been interested on.
To see what these big V8s do.
Definitely, and they feel pretty good to drive, but I think still, understandably, coming to a 300 series, it's a 3.3 litre V6 diesel engine. It's a smallest
capacity.
Engine. It's tiny.
Smallest capacity here.
Smallest capacity here, and takes out the win. So I think that's pretty good. At the end of the day, I'm happy. I'm stoked. I'm really happy.
Well done. Well done.
Thanks for coming, mate.
No dramas, not a problem.
Have fun.
Yeah, look, I don't know about you, but now that car, it's got so much more. I don't know, it just feels more responsive, it drives better, it just handles better, just everything about it. It's a better truck.
The 300 series, especially in the Australian market, everyone's always been a bit sceptical about this car. I think this really showcases not only can we make power, but we can do it repeatedly. On a day like today, it's like 40 degrees, and there's a heat wave coming over us at the moment. It is hot, right? And the fact that these cars can continue to perform in this weather. This is the way of the future, and these cars are definitely it, I believe.
Well, there you go, guys. You've heard it right here today. I'm pretty sure, and let's get him to say it, because I've already said it. I reckon the 300 is better than the 200.
100%. There's no doubt denying that.
There you go. It's 100%. The 300 is better than the 200. There you go. You heard it straight from me and straight from Matt. Mate, let's go. I can literally just go to the beach now.
That's
with my
it.
truck.
Done. 100%.
Literally, I'm gone.
That's it.
Yeah. I can go tour Australia in this rig.
Jump the queue and stream episodes from the brand new Series Evolve for Adventure right now at unleashed.tv. Once you're done, there's over 160 hours of Aussie four-wheel drive action, plus unreleased adventures that were too extreme for YouTube and TV. Stream it all now at unleashed.tv.